Hello, welcome back to the Cricket News Podcast. I'm not very happy. I'm joined by Zach. How are you?
I'm sad for you, Benj. Very sad for you and all the many Chennai supporters out there because it's a sad day for Chennai. Good day for Mumbai, but yeah, it kind of sums up these two teams' tournaments really. The way they played, the game they played. Wasn't great.
Awful. I mean, let's just go straight into it. So, first of all, what an absolute travesty at the start of a cricket match. Like, DRS wasn't working. There were two LBWs given that were just, both of them just weren't out.
Within the first two overs.
Yeah. So Devon Conway got given out, but he wasn't allowed to review because DRS was broken and it was going down leg. So, I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, Moeen Ali lost his wicket in the same over. That was a very soft dismissal. So that's Moeen's fault. But, I mean, the umpiring, he needs shooting. And then Robin Uttapas as well. I mean, that was even worse. Like it pitched, like it just wasn't gonna hit. It just wasn't gonna hit the wickets. So yeah, it just wasn't gonna hit the wickets. I may have been a bit too over the top about shooting the umpires. Let's just clarify: you can't shoot umpires. That's bad. You can't shoot umpires, but it was just really bad. And like the fact that we're doing a professional IPL game, and those two wickets could potentially like swing Chennai's. Well, it's ended Chennai's qualification chances. Bit of a one for the comments. Like, should the game have started without DRS? I was just baffled because both of them were just dreadful and should have been reviewed. I suppose the only thing that was good about Chennai's innings was MS Dhoni's 36 not out. He looked like he was in control of his innings. He was the only one that scored any runs really. And then the rest of Chennai though were some very silly wickets, like Ambati Rayudu and Shivam Dubey both hit good shots and then got out next ball. It was pretty pathetic. Although having said that, Mumbai bowled quite well, didn't they, Zach?
They did bowl very well. And I guess just another thing on Dhoni. I don't think he's ever come in the fifth over before. I would like to know what the stats are on that for Dhoni coming in that early in the game. Usually comes in with 5 overs to go, not just 5 overs that have been played. So that's a bit ridiculous. And then on the DRS, I think if you start the game without DRS, the fair thing is to play the whole game without DRS. No point starting with it and then bringing it in when it's working. It doesn't really work like that. Fair enough if you start the game with DRS and then halfway through it stops working. That's different. But if you started out with DRS, then I think Robin Uttapas was a bit more adjacent than Devon Conway's. Now, because there wasn't DRS at the time, it means we still don't know. We can only look at replays and slow them down. But Robin Uttapas looked a bit straighter than Devon Conway's. The only thing there might have been the height, I guess. But still, as a Chennai supporter, Benj will be saying, no, it wasn't out. But there we go. But yeah, Mumbai bowled very well. Daniel Sams is proving himself. He's getting better and better each and every game. So he is definitely a massive positive for Mumbai for next season. Jasprit Bumrah doing Bumrah things. Riley Meredith, although he was the most expensive, he still picked up 2 wickets. And so everyone chipped in. Everyone did a decent job with the ball. And I think it's one of those situations where when you're 17 for 4, 29 for 5, it's like any bowler can come in and almost improve their stats, lower their economy rate, improve their average, and that's certainly what happened. I felt sorry for Chennai. I was glad that Dhoni played the captain's knock and stayed all the way through to the end. He just didn't have the support, and you'd think because Dhoni was in at what number? Like I said, in the 5th over, right? He was there for the end of over 16. If someone was there with him, so Shivam Dubey, who came in after him, Dwayne Bravo, who came in after that, if they were still there at the end, those extra 4 overs, they could have been brutal and got Chennai up to a fairly decent score. But I don't want to give Benji any false hope or make him more frustrated than he already is. But then Mumbai replied, and Mumbai did Mumbai things. They didn't look convincing, and they gave Benji more hope in that they were 33 for 4 off 5 overs. And it required the young people, the young players of Tilak Varma, Hrithik Shakeen, and Tim David to take them home, because the experience of Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma didn't do anything at the top. Thoughts on Daniel Sams at number 3?
I mean, I wonder if Mumbai had watched Rajasthan and thought, that's a good idea. Let's do what they do with Ravichandran Ashwin.
Clearly not watching the podcast.
They're not watching the podcast where we say, don't do that because it's stupid. I think they're like trying to play him instead of Surya Kumar Yadav. I don't know. Tristan Subs, I think, should have gone in number 3 because they've rested Karen Pollard today. So anyway, I mean,
where was Devol Brevis?
Why have you dropped? Well, I don't know. I'm not even going to go. I'll be honest. I'd stopped watching the game after Dubé lost his wicket. At that point, I'm not watching the rest of this. I went and watched my first team win a T20 instead, which was a great up the Gedling. Woohoo! Anyway, yeah, I think the choice of players for Mumbai, like Tristan stuff, like why is Devol Brevis still dropped? It just baffles me. Riley Meredith, I think, actually played quite well, but yeah, Daniel Sams at number 3, very shaky. Maybe they're just trying to mess around. Although what they've done is mess around with Daniel Sams' strike rate. Tristan Stubbs again didn't last very long. Mukesh Chowdhury took care of him. But 97. You say any score's defendable, it's not really enough in 20 overs. Like it's you'd back the batting team to knock that off. And yet, Tim David, just a class player, isn't he? Like he's always gonna, when there's that little pressure on, he's gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, in the last few games that Mumbai have played and they've won, Tim David's been knocked out at the end every single time, which means that he's living up to his price tag, which he wasn't at the start of the tournament. So yeah, they'll take a lot from that.
I was impressed with Mumbai, the fact they did field a lot of their youngsters too, though, and give them a go, because I think that's super important for the development of the side. But speaking of youngsters, I just want to say a massive shout out to Mukesh Chowdhury, who tried his best to pull that game back and bowled fantastically off his 4 overs. Same with Simranjeet Singh. I think both of them opened the bowling really well. And actually, all the Chennai bowlers were okay. Like none of them were bad. Some of them got a little bit of tap, but like they did really well. But just when you're defending 97, it's a very big task. So yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing game. That's all I really want to say about it. Any more comments on the whole game as a whole, Zach?
No, I just think we should move on to cricket nurse questions. Try and cheer you up a bit, Ben.
Roll the intro.
So there has been a bit of news in the media, which you're probably all aware of, which I don't know what to think about it. I guess we'll discuss it now. But this question comes in from Rikan Patel, who has done 2 CNQs in a row, which is very good. That's what we like. Other people can chip in. Don't leave it all to Rikan, although he has massive analytical skills. But anyway, he says, here is another question. Thoughts on McCullum as head coach for England? I'm not so sure about him, but it's a bold pick and a not so conventional pick, which could be what England test teams need right now. Something out of the box. Benj, what were your initial thoughts as soon as you saw Brendan McCullum, England's test match coach? What did you think?
Well, I've just been talking about this, actually, strangely enough. You know what? I'm all for it. I was like, it's a new take. People seem to forget just how much of a good test match player Brendan McCullum was. Like, out of 101 tests, he scored a bajillion runs, had a record of the fastest 100 ever in a test match. So he's fantastic. He was test captain for years, so I think it could be something good. The only concern is that he's never coached a red ball game in his life. But, you always have to have your first game. What I'm really pleased is that it's the McCullum mentality that the New Zealand team today still bat with. So Kane Williamson is very much like a bit of a Brendan McCullum, not in the way that he bats, but in the way that he captains. And that's been fantastic for New Zealand. And the fact that they're World Test champions is testament to that. So having somebody steering the ship who has created an environment who can go on to be World Test champions, I'm really pleased. And to have Ben Stokes with him, I think it's great. I'm hoping also Paul Collingwood gets the white ball job. It's a shame for Kolkata to lose Brendan McCullum because, again, he's a great coach. But yeah, they're just my initial thoughts about Baz, but I think he's good. And I'm excited to see where it goes. What about you, Zach? What are your initial thoughts?
I'm mixed, really, because part of you thinks, well, surely Brendan McCullum is the best one to coach the white ball setup. Given his links with Owen Morgan, I think he officiated Owen Morgan's wedding a few years ago, and they're very good friends. And he's obviously done a lot for the white ball game. He's the reason that New Zealand got to the final of the 2015 World Cup and set things up for the final of the 2019 World Cup as well. But on the other hand, he also transformed that test team. And like you say, Benj, he's got a good mentality. And he also saved New Zealand in their captaincy. In 2013, New Zealand were at a massive low. They got bowled out in South Africa for 45, or by South Africa for 45. And it was a low point for New Zealand. And they turned it around in the space of 3 or 4 years and started developing a very good test playing side. And right now, England are in the lowest of the lows, and they need to turn things around and develop a side which can beat any team. And we'll probably talk more about English cricket later in a future videos after the IPL's finished. But England at the moment in county cricket, there's a lot more people scoring runs than usual, and hopefully with this McCullum mentality, with the compatibility of potential for Ben Stokes and McCullum to do well, then yeah, you got to think positively about these things. There's no point having a moan, is there?
Exactly, I agree. There's no point being negative. Let's give them a chance. It's a fresh start. It is something new. I'm just really excited to see Dominic Sibley back in the side with a McCullum mentality and ramp the first delivery for 6 over his head. That'll be the New England. That'll be the New England Test team. Dom Sibley comes in, puts it for 6.
Right. Anyway, predictions for tomorrow. It is another big game. Well, they're all big games at this point, but it's the Royal Challengers Bangalore, the best team to have ever played, playing against the Punjab Kings, who are James's team. And I don't think James is going to be here for tomorrow's podcast, but we'll see if we can get a video from him with a little bit of reaction. And if Punjab lose, he probably won't do that because Punjab have to pretty much win all their remaining games, and Royal Challengers will need to win to feel less pressure from the likes of Delhi Capitals and Sunrisers Hyderabad. So come on, RCB. I'm predicting you all the way. I think we're going to beat Punjab Kings. We lost to them the first game. We're going to beat them this time round. Benj, thoughts?
I'm going to back RCB.
Yes. Come on, Benj. Except maybe that's...
Which means they'll probably lose.
No,
I'm backing RCB. I'm backing RCB because I think they've got a good enough side to beat that Punjab side. Punjab had a few days off, and didn't look amazing in that last game. I can't remember if they won or lost that last game in the end. Did they win or lose it?
Who?
Punjab. Excuse me.
Punjab lost their last game. They lost to the Rajasthan Royals by 6 wickets.
Yeah, they looked pretty poor as well against the Rajasthan Royals in that last game. So, I think RCB can do it tomorrow. They've just got a really good side. They've found their balance, I think RCB have. Although what I should have done is said that it's going to be Punjab to win because James isn't here to defend it for himself. But
Well, he's got
knows?
the comments. The people in the comments who support Punjab are all for it. So
That's what I'm saying. But now that I've said RCB, I'll probably curse them. So who can say?
yeah.
Is there anything else? A comment over there? Or anything else that we need to do?
Just that people want you to be a cheerleader.
Yeah, there's been a bit of weird. Like I think Human, you're involved, but there's a bit of weird. Benji is a fountain. I'm not sure about it, but if you want me to be a cheerleader, if you get this video to 1 million views, I'll go to India and be a cheerleader.
that needs to be a thing, right?
If this gets 1 million views, I'll go to India. I'll be a cheerleader in an IPL match. You've heard it here. With that said done, let's just wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a disappointing day. Remember to like and subscribe. Send down your Cricket Nerds questions. Yeah, if you get to 1 million views and 100,000 likes, I'm going to go and be a cheerleader in India. I'm not sure why I've agreed to that. Follow us on social media. Listen to our podcasts. Thank you for listening if you have been. We've seen a recent spike in the amount of people listening on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And that is all. Have a great night. Have a great rest of the day. And we'll see you tomorrow for RCB versus the Punjab Kings.